We're going to start this puppy up. Clear, drop. Last week, we hung the engine and finished the mount. In this episode, we're going to be working on some of the details of getting the Polini 202 operational. Some major tasks like we need to hang a propeller on the front, but then a whole bunch of minor things like radiator fittings and tubes and cables and all sorts of other brackets and whatnot. Some assembly required. And that was probably a good thing because in shipping you don't want a whole bunch of these things attached so that they get bent and fall off. So without further ado, let's get started. The radiator mounts on the top two engine bolts that hold the engine to the ring. And I have a C-clamp here so that I can remove these bolts. You don't want to pull those bolts off, the engine will go forward and ruin your day. So this clamp allows me to take the bolts out. I'm going to do them one at a time, and it's basically going to sit like this. We want the radiator mount away from the engine on the other side of these cushion mounts because the radiator will break. There have been reports if you mount this all the way tight to the engine on the other side of the rubbers. So the rubbers dampen the vibrations and make things okay. So pulling the bolts out. The length of bolt I'm using right now is a number 40 in length, and these of course are M8s, and a couple of washers which I believe eventually I will replace with lock washers because currently there is no locking mechanism as I'm kind of putting things together for the first time here. The bolts are installed and tightened, and then here's our radiator. There are two small rubber cushions that I pressed onto the bottom, and then also one at the top. Now if we turn it around, of course our inlet and outlet are on this side, so we want these facing forward. And basically the rubber bumpers will sit into the holes, and then we have a supplied U-clamp bracket that will go around here and attach with some small bolts. And then the hoses need to be connected on the other side. Looking at the top of the head, this is where our outlet for the water, inlet or outlet, and this is the component that was shipped in a bag of parts. There's also a O-ring that I placed in here, and then two small cap screws. So this will end up going here, and I will torque these down. The torque values are given in the manual. However, I need to look up whether they want any Loctite used to keep these in place. So I will research that. And next we can do our radiator hoses from the radiator to the top. And then there's one for the water pump we'll look at. Now we'll install some of our hoses that came with. The first one we'll put on is at the water pump housing here, and this will lead us from the water pump up to the radiator right here. And this will be our longer of two hoses. And I'm not putting the clamps on now, just doing a trial fitting. From the radiator down to the water pump. And it's this nice silicone tubing, and the length was absolutely perfect for that. And then that leaves us with the upper radiator, and that will go down to the nipple that we just installed. This was a protective coating cap on there. Let's see how this one fits. There you go. And then this end goes down here. All right. And that should take care of the hoses. This one was already installed going from the head to the pump. So basically we got the pump to the head, then through the head, out the head, into the radiator, cools off through the radiator, back down to the water pump. Here is the supplied hose clamp. Kind of interesting. It is basically spring bound, and from what I can tell, the tab there will click into its final destination once it's squeezed far enough. We'll find out. And as far as squeezing, we're going to use a pair of Radiator pliers, which is a clamp that's similar but different. Will allow us to squeeze this knob here against this knob here and pull them tight until it clicks together in there. So let me go get the pliers and we'll try attempting one of these onto our hose. I have slipped the clamp over the hose, and I got the barb of the tank right here. And here are the pliers. These are Radiator pliers. You can get them on Amazon. They're for the little more common hose clamp that kind of looks like this but is different. And so I'm going to attempt to get the jaws around the two nubs and see if we can get this to click into place. This is the first time I've ever done this, so we will find out if this works. It has not grabbed, so I guess you have to go all the way. And there it clicked. That's amazing. My big question is, can these be undone by prying them open? I guess I don't want to ruin one finding out because they gave us just the right number of clamps. But that is surely a very secure connection, and I hope I don't have to take that off sometime. So I'll continue that with the other three connections.